now for something completely different. Next steps, Semantic MediaWiki. Jeroen and I are going to talk about what has happened last year, what's going to happen next year, maybe some of it at least. Maybe you have some more input what's going to happen next year, and give you kind of an overview of what we were up to in the project. Oops. Yeah. So. We did something. We actually something non-technical, but quite in a way technical, legally technical as well, and not easy to do. It turned out. We created an organization, namely a support organization for Semantic MediaWiki and related approaches to get open data on the web, and in particular also for this conference, which is called the Open Semantic Data Association. It was founded in March 2011. But until all the legal bits were really done, it took about until July, August, something like that. But now we are an official charitable organization that can support the projects, that can also manage the funds we have for such events like this, and that can, of course, accept donations. The whole thing is going to be, it's already controlled by a steering committee of community people, currently the ones you see here. Who come together from time to time and talk about what to do and how to proceed at the community level. The idea of this is not to be an organization in general that governs the development of any extension or even of SMW. It's really meant as a support organization for the community we have here and for closely related communities that want to work with semantic open data in such an infrastructure as we are promoting here with Semantic MediaWiki. Okay, so that was a great piece of work, I think. I really would like to thank everybody involved here for committing their time to have telcos and send around signatures in real mail to have the legal bits done. Okay. Another very nice thing we have done last year, which is ongoing but has been quite successful already, is the Wiki of the Month. It has been launched around the time of last European SMWCon in Amsterdam. And since then it has been quite successful, I would say, very nicely going forward. Every month we have a featured semantic wiki on our homepage. You can also look at the past featured wikis, and the idea of this was really to have an inspiration for users. In addition to the documentation we provide, which in theory explains how you do everything, it is often much more valuable to actually see how people do it in practice and to see what you can do to get some ideas, maybe to copy some templates. And in order to promote this, we wanted to have such a series of featured sites, which I hope is also useful to some of you, or at least interesting. An important thing about that, we need applications for this. We have there are a lot of very good wikis, and we certainly have candidates for the next few months. But it would be great to have more candidates for the further away future. So if you run a great wiki, and if you have a project, whether it's a real application or a demonstration of some functionality that otherwise isn't used, it can be academic as well. It doesn't have to be real life in all cases, but it should be interesting to people. Should show something that people can learn from. Then please drop us a line. You can find all the information on the wiki page here. And Desiree, who is our new head of this activity, is going to help you set it up and get featured, which is also usually a very good thing for a site to be on a website for a month and to get additional hits by that. Okay. By the way, this session, by its very nature, is probably more interactive than other sections. So if you have questions in between, just ask at any point, because we will have many different small topics here, and don't hold back your answers to the end, because you will have forgotten what they were. Okay, another thing which is not so technical yet is communication. We did a lot of work there, again, with the help of many others, notably Carsten, who's also here, who has put a lot of work into our webpage and helping contributors there to find their way and to do effectively contribute new languages in particular, but also other documentations that we needed to improve our web appearance. When you look at the main page, you will now see this list of languages which are supported at the moment, which is pretty impressive, I think. Japanese and Russian being updated quite recently, I think, and finding new contributors who want to look into that. I think also from France, we have a new person on board, which is really great. So this is very important for us, and it's something that often enough the developers don't have enough time to do. So it's great that we have some people who are actually helping there and keeping track of it. Additionally to this main website, maybe there are a number of communications channels which have been used very well, I think. Mailing lists we have for ages, since the very beginning. IRC is working well, I think. Whenever I'm there, everybody's very happy to see me. I'm there whenever, in all free time I have, I promise. But it is a nice option to get quick feedback on something, and usually there are quite a few people around. There is recently has been created a Twitter account. I don't know if you want to say anything about that. It's a Twitter account. You can follow it. We will distribute news along it, and various people from the community have logins to post messages there. If you want to help do some Semantic MediaWiki bus and want to add news to this channel, maybe that's something that we could also just let us know if you want to be a reporter in the world for Semantic MediaWiki. Then there's of course the LinkedIn group, which also has its very own dynamics and topics and discussions happening from time to time. At least certain things get posted. I think semantic forms discussions have been happening there in LinkedIn. Have you seen? Yeah. So communication everywhere. I'm not sure about Facebook. Should we have a Facebook? Like buttons. Like buttons.
There's a Facebook page for Semantic MediaWiki.
Oh,
you could claim that it's yours. That would be nice. Like then, people actually like that page.
Oh, right.
And we can't post any news on it. So people like that, but there will be no newsfeed. And we would like to put that event under the pages or.
Okay. Who set that up?
It's actually, Wikipedia.
Yeah, Facebook sets up like pages for anything that's on Wikipedia.
But you could, I guess you can claim that it's yours.
Oh, very well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can look into that. There must be a way. And Google Plus. I mean, they don't have all this nonsense yet, but maybe this will also come. Like page there.
Probably you could claim it and just not use it because we spread out over so many communication channels.
Yeah, it's not making things easier. Also with the LinkedIn group, I'm not so sure if that's really helping communication or whether it's just distributing it so it's less easy to find. I mean, also the website, please don't use it as a communication channel. If you want us to read a message, don't post it on a talk page. We just will miss it. And luckily, there are a few people like us who really look into that and who pointed out to us that sometimes if something important has to be done, but otherwise we often miss the talk pages.
Just got to think the other day that why isn't the mailing list and IRC channel stated on the front page of the web page, or is it? I can
there's
see.
a link to a page stating it.
Yeah, there's
it should be. I mean, it should be maybe with a fancy box or something like get in touch, like.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that is needed.
Yeah, if it fits in so that we don't. Yeah, okay, yeah, point taken. Maybe we can do something then.
Are we a company, organization, institution, a brand or product, or a cause or community?
We can say we are an organization. We have OSDA now. That's also the nice thing with the Open Semantic Data Association, our charity. Even though we are not really trying to control the project in any way technically, we can represent projects or sub-projects if needed. So there are places where when you want to apply, for example, Google Summer of Code or other funding opportunities, or you want to take part in some contests, sometimes you just need some backing up from an organization. If that is the case for you and you don't know where to go, please, please just approach us. And we are happy to help them. So, okay. Good, enough communication. Let's go to the more technical bits once the thing is back up. Here we go. Development. That's another community site kind of, which we have Olo, of course, which is an open source activity tracker and something more. So that's the development of Semantic MediaWiki in the subversion where it's now. I mean, of course, it has been back in 2005, but we have been in SourceForge CVS for some time, so that's where we went to MediaWiki subversion. And that's how the code changed. That's usually when a large extension got its own life and moved out of the core. And you can see 2010, 2011 wasn't quite unproductive if you take lines of code to be an indication. But also, look at this. Almost proportional to these commits, we have new comments. So we are actually documenting our code now. And I think in many places we are not too bad, but more needs to be done, obviously. Okay. Maybe, do you want to say something to this? So I'm just going to go through some things which we have done recently. I mean, it has been mentioned, I think, resource loader being in the lightning talk yesterday, being a great tool. We now fully support that. I think what hasn't been mentioned is that Semantic MediaWiki now includes resource loader support, which is backwards compatible with MediaWiki versions that didn't have resource loader. So you can write an extension which works on MediaWiki versions that are older and which will use resource loader on newer versions by using the respective SMW functions. So that's something we tried, and in particular, we also included certain things for backwards compatibility that are not found in older versions of MediaWiki. So jQuery, for example, which lets you do fancy JavaScript interfaces, is now part of MediaWiki, Semantic MediaWiki, until we switch to a MediaWiki version where it's included by default. And so this is quite nice because it gives you some flexibility to maintain backwards compatibility and still use these new features.
Is there some sort of a plan regarding how far back we support? Do you just declare anything before 1.6 is?
No, we'll come to that at the end. Yeah. Usually, the two last, the current and the previous version of MediaWiki is what we support. Anything else is a coincidence. Okay, audio store binding. I talked about this enough. So this is largely done. We have completed the work on mirroring all data in arbitrary Sparkle 1.1 stores and executing ask through Sparkle via these stores. So that works completely nicely. What is open is some ask features need to be added. Vocabulary mapping has to be fixed. We discussed that, and we want to have Sparkle in and out things. I have already explained that. Parameter documentation. Do you want to say something to this? Here.
Yeah, so I already demoed this a bit in one of my earlier talks. I think the one about Semantic Watchlist. We now declaratively define parameters for ask and for all the result formats, so we can do a lot of fancy stuff and really clean up the code, because there's code all over the place handling this kind of things, which also makes it more difficult for other extensions to build on top of Semantic MediaWiki. So once we fully switch to the new handling, it will be a lot easier and cleaner to create additional result formats and things like that. And like I also already mentioned, now you already have a bunch of auto documentation that's there. It's still basic. It could do more. It could show all the specific restrictions, and we could have even better error reporting than we have now. Already, if you have a percentage somewhere and it's properly defined, if you provide 101, it will give you an error saying that it needs to be between 0 and 100. You could go further there and then link to a special page that then automatically generates documentation and gives some examples. That will all be possible. So yeah.
You could just keep it. Yeah. We're coming to the demo thing. Let's see how that works out.
Yeah. So I also briefly touched this. Yeah, well, I basically gave a lightning talk about this. We now have an Ask API on Trunk because people were asking about it. It's still in alpha, it works, but we want feedback. So it would really be nice if people could try it out. Yeah, can you go to the first example?
Well, doesn't mean that it switches the application, it just opens it.
The new Ask API consists of two modules. One is called Ask, and that's it.
Just don't touch it. Okay, here we are. I opened it multiple times, but that should be.
Yeah, so one is called Ask, so you basically can get to there by going to the API and doing action equals ask. And it has one query parameter, which, as you can see, just takes whatever you would put into an ask parser function. But you're allowed to code it if you provide it via a call tool. And then you get, by default, XML, but you can also get whatever other formats. For example,
Words, yeah.
Yeah, for example, you can also get JSON, and it's basically the same, but structured with another formats. Yeah, right now it returns your result set per page. It has a bunch. Yeah,
I found a bug.
What? Where?
In the cat where the cursor is. Print T out.
Oh, it doesn't try like it.
There's an E. Should.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's why I need feedback.
Yeah, structures are all
Yeah. Basically, it returns like all the things you requested to print. Also, per page, it returns like the full name and URL to it, and at the end, it returns a list of the print requests together with their type identifier, so that you can figure out that something is a date, even if without actually knowing the property name. Well, if you could do and on that thing.
What should it be?
And like the bottom of the page.
Yeah, I just had a mouse, there's nothing but. Oh, actually, I have page down.
Yeah, like there is the array with print requests, so you can figure out which type it is. Yeah, and it should have like continuation functionality, obviously, that you can get one batch and then another batch, but that's not fully implemented yet. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I go back to the slides?
Yeah. Can you then do the other example? So this is the other API module, which gives the exact same result, but takes other parameters. It's called ask args for arguments, and it takes three parameters. One, conditions, which takes basically what you would put as first parameter in an ask query, but then without the square brackets. You can provide a list separated by like the pipe sign. Also takes a list of printouts and a list of parameters. Basically, yeah. The idea here is to be able to do a query with as little wiki syntax as possible.
Okay.
Okay, that's the thing.
Okay, great.
Is the a limit on the number of items you can retrieve? 500, similar as the usual bot policy, or something else?
It uses the default API limit, which is 500 for regular users, and it's 5,000, if I'm not mistaken, for use with additional privileges. But this could be changed depending on what you exactly want. Also, if you have the continuation thing, you can just request a bunch of questions.
Yeah. Okay. API. We will also have something else with the API later on. It is a nice thing, certainly, to have that and use it for more development in SMW. Okay. Sub-objects. Largely done. As we discussed yesterday, or the day before, it would be good if semantic internal objects would be supported by Semantic MediaWiki. So now it is. I have implemented this somewhere between the rest of the conference. It's now called setObject. I am not sure if that's the best name. I didn't want to call it the same as the internal objects to avoid confusion. It's like a parser function. You give it a property name, and then pairs of property value as parameters. And what it creates structurally is something like that. If you do that on a page A, then property name, which you give here, would link to an auxiliary internal object, sub-object of the page A, which is also called like that. It will be called page A hash something long, which is supporting the intuition that it's a sub-object. And this sub-object will have the property and the other property with the respective values and well, data types, right? So that's how it works. And the difference to internal object is that the property name here has its pointer from the page to the sub-object and not the other way around. So that's a new thing. But otherwise it should provide the same functionality. Doing this was fairly simple actually, because as I said, records have mostly supported that already. But I found that there are a few places where it didn't work quite as smoothly yet as it should. For example, if you have that, you want to have a meaningful display of these things in your pages. So if you do that, it will be possible to make a query where this page is a result. What should that show? And also, if you want to see these properties, how do you do it? If you browse the properties for page A, you will only get this value, however it is shown, and not the sub-values it possibly has. So what I did is I changed the code so that it would also be possible to browse call browse with parameters so that the properties of this sub-object are shown. So it's now possible, you may not want to type this because it's a long key, but it's possible to link to it and to directly display the right things of sub-objects. Also in RDF export, it also works like that. It is possible to export the RDF just for a sub-object. And basically, I try to integrate all the functions that Semantic MediaWiki already has to work with sub-objects as if they were pages, mostly. So that should be nice. A bit more needs to be done because there are certain things where it doesn't really fit together, but I think it's already usable. What do we think about the name? Should that be called setObject, or is it not a good name? Or are we fine with sub-object as a term, or is it too technical? Good, because I didn't want to call it internal object for the confusion. That's it, of course.
So it is definitely not a blank note, right?
No. A blank note, for those who don't know, is a technical term in RDF. And we have no reason to use it.
One name suggestion is maybe inline object or something.
Inline object.
When I hear that, I hear set as a mathematical thing, not just sets.
Not like assign.
List, array, set.
To me also it's like set.
Yeah, but we already have a stand parser function.
Sorry?
We already have a stand parser function. So.
It's a verb, not a noun in this case.
But what about def object or define object or something?
Make object, add object. You could also call it sub-object. That's what I had first, but then we discussed that.
Yeah, I think sub-object is good name. Not the set object.
It's a set of properties that you define.
Yeah, that's also true, but I didn't mean it to be read as set.
Oh,
It's just like because we have the thing is we have a parser function which is called set, and which has a similar syntax just without the property name. It sets directly the properties for the page you are on, and so set object would be and set it for an object. And it's also similar to set internal object, I think it's called.
Except that uses underscores, I believe.
Yeah,
yeah,
just
but
internal object.
I'm not arguing for it, like just there's a difference there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would still argue for inline objects rather than sub-objects because these will be objects as well as pages or objects. The only thing is how you define them, and that is inline. They are not subordinate in any way, right?
Well, they are. If you delete the page, they are gone.
Definitely they are.
Okay.
So the page will be really created, right?
Yeah. No, it's not a page. It will not be created like a page. It will just exist as an object.
In
And
the
it will look mostly as if it was created as a page, but it is not a page.
it's not a page that you can refer to.
It doesn't have an article in the wiki. It
Okay.
doesn't have. Because if you would type that in the wiki, you would just get to page A at the section which is called like whatever comes here.
Okay.
And this could actually be used to address the location of the sub-object in the page. So we could actually make it so that when you click this link in the, you would get exactly to the point where it's set in the source code or in the page. I'm also not sure whether we should display anything. Currently, it's like the set function in that it is completely silent. You will not see any output at the place where you do that. We could also have an option where it's actually showing something.
Like using the NEP handlers, the right link handler to show the data for that page, which doesn't exist. Something like that.
What kind of handlers?
The enterprise demo that they have a page, that page has some data associated with that, but the page stuff that into this, right?
Yeah, this kind of thing. I think also template-based formatting could be nice here because it's already like a template. So dropping in a template at the same place with the same parameters assignments would actually be quite feasible and easy. So, but I don't know what the syntax for it is. So suggestions are welcome. Please send emails, discuss. But the basic functionality is basically functional. I just don't want to release it before we fix at least the name of the thing.
Yeah, what was the consensus here about this name instead of or
I don't think there was one, but you had a strong opinion, and I don't think anybody else had. So
I guess some object is fine.
Doesn't like it.
You had a good reason for that. I mean, this set object. I mean, there's two discussions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too much to decide now, but
Right.
because there might be different functions. One way you see a template-based formatting, and one way you don't see it, or maybe we don't want to have a function. I don't know, and then this might affect the naming. Yeah.
You had a presentation the day before yesterday telling us about the new record type you implemented for 1.6. 1.6.
Yeah.
Could you make clear the difference again?
Yeah. Basically, a record creates a structure now which looks exactly the same. In 1.6, records are also declared to have properties. So they are no longer a list of type values, they are a list of properties. And basically it's just a surface syntax for this same thing here. With the restriction that this property name has a fixed type record, which is a bit of an advantage because SMW then knows that it will always have compound values, whereas here this property name could be a normal page type property, so you don't know what there is. It's a bit weaker in the user interface. But otherwise, structurally, it looks really the same. But it is much more restricted because you have always the same number of things you can use in a record. It has to have the same fields. You can omit some, but you can't have arbitrary additional fields in the record.
Although it's definitely not a blank, within the concept of RDF, it's somewhat like a blank. Could you call it a blank object?
It's not.
But it's not. It could be confusing.
Let's take the discussion about the naming to some emailing. I will announce it anyway on the list, and then maybe we can call for more feedback. Okay, but so you know, it's done. Improving special asks, that's another demo, so I should be quick to show it. Google is of course project number 2, done by Das, who is in India and thus couldn't be here today, but has worked in the last couple of months on this project of improving special ask. It was quite an open project, many things could have been done, some things have been done, others have not been done. You will see. I think there are many, I think few people know what actually works now and how. Let me show you. Okay. It's still in the prototype stage because we want to change a few things before we before we actually can say it's really a standard thing. But I guess with some explanation I can tell you what's the concept now. Where's my cursor? To start, I would like to also show you the ask thing. Okay, so that's what we have now. Right? So that's what we have now. It has a number of bad design choices in its UI. Well, basically you have a query here. Okay, you have to know how to write queries to make that work. We didn't get rid of this yet, actually. This is still the case. And it would be nice to improve it. Then, even much more obscure, I think, than the query field is this field, which asks you to enter the printouts line by line. It's almost easier to write the ask query in one thing than to distribute it in two boxes like that. And then, before you actually get to any results, you have a list of very long, now self-documenting at least, but still very long list of parameters that you could enter, which kind of obscure the whole UI a lot. And also which scare away people, I think. So that's the current situation. And one nice thing we have here, we can add, when we want to sort something, we have some kind of script here. So we can make new sorting conditions and say how they should be sorted. Okay. Now, how does what is the query creator and how is it different? As I said, the query creator still has very much the same way of specifying queries. So there is an open question how to make that better. So having a nice UI to actually input the description of the query, the page selection part, would be a great thing, but we don't have that. And this hasn't changed really. This is just the same. Now, then there's a second part which replaces the box on the right, which is for the printouts. It needs a lot more formatting and layouting here in the HTML. That's one reason why it's not quite releasable yet. It should be more clear that this is a separate box. So this thing here already belongs to a new box. It's query matches. And the idea is that it shows us what matches the query. Let me type something. Okay. So if I find results for that, with the one problem that the MediaWiki tables now don't like our empty headers. We need to enter some strut there to make it larger. But I get the result. So, and basically the idea is that the one column I see here is the query matches column, which is always there. I could now add another property saying that I want also to see the, I don't know what kind of population number for each country. And now I have the population as expected. Now the nice thing is, well, it has auto-completion as you already have seen. It's not such a cryptic box that nobody understands, but it gives you a rather clear view of what you have here. You could have more properties. I don't know whether there are any other properties here. You have borders maybe. Let's see. Borders. Oh yeah, the borders. And you can have other things like categories. You can show the categories as they are. So you have for everything the categories. And you can also adjust that. For example, you could say you want to have a particular category. So some of these things are actually test pages. Because that's my private wiki and it's full of test pages. Actually, none of them are. Maybe the test pages don't bother anything. And then there shouldn't be a difference. I don't know. No test pages. Wrong group. Anyway, let's say country. Also, that's a bit obvious. So here you have now a check saying that, yeah, this is a country, this is a country, this is a country. Just saying that it's in that category. Now I can also customize that and say, I want to say, yes, country, no. Then I have this type of output here. And if I'm now interested in how this looks in ask for inline, I can actually get it from here and copy it. Okay. And so so this is basically the idea how the interface works, and most of the changes really have been in this part here. You can also see the sorting is now one part of the actual query generation for the printout. So sorting is no longer a different thing than printing. It's just all related to a property, and additional options that you have are hidden somewhere.
What is different? I'm trying to see where you. Okay.
Yeah, I also get up to see something here. So what is different is that the printouts now are co-located with the sorting things. That's the reason why we have a box for showing something in results, because you can sort by a property without showing it. So I could sort by population and not have it in the results. And so that is it. And all the other options that one might have for a certain thing are hidden in a modal window, which we have here. This is useful because you can have a lot of other options which SMW now supports, and this is not imported at all in the old special ask framework. So if you, for example, you could set the limit to 3 here for borders, I think I did that, and find the results, and now you have at most 3 things here appearing in borders. So that's a limit on a printout, and it's something that you couldn't do with the old interface. It wasn't even supported to show a query with this. It was kind of lost when you clicked on further results, I think, or at least when you edited it afterwards. There are more options as usual. The ones which we have seen before, they are hidden like that now, and you can still show them if you like. We made them a bit more structured to have the things intro, outro, default, which are always there in a separate thing, and the format options which belong to the format that you chose are actually in a separate box. Maybe we will have tabs for that, I'm not sure yet. So some of the layout could still be improved. We don't know. CSV export, for example, has different parameters. I can't navigate it like that. Okay, but you get the idea. So the main idea really is to have this new middle part and not so much the new upper part as some may have thought we do, but it would be nice to do that as well at some point. So feedback is or input as well. Yeah. Okay, any questions on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this is much better than it was before, but if it's intended to be used by an end user, he still needs to know that there is a category country, for example. Wouldn't it be better to have some kind of a drop-down list or something like that? Or?
Of all categories? It is already auto-completing, so if you know how it could be called, you will get some
in the first input box.
Yeah, like Markus said, the idea is not to keep it like this.
Okay. So
this project tackled one part of the problem, which is the printout and all the extra options.
Okay, sorry.
So this part still needs to be tackled.
Okay.
Yeah, so the upper part is not addressed at all. But it is very difficult to have, we thought about that, and it is very difficult to have inline auto-completion for parts of the text box. Because basically it means your JavaScript has to pre-parse the query as you write it, without having the full query yet. And this is going to break in many places and not be nice. But there are maybe other ways of creating a query, for example, by having an add condition dialog. Add a condition for selecting a category, then you get a small modal window, you enter the category name, you press OK, it's there. Something like that could actually be done. Yeah, Samuel was next.
Okay, can you do prioritized sorting here? Can you like sort first from this field and then?
Yeah, but that's a bit of the downside of this approach here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better to split sorting in a separate kind of group. And
no, but then I mean, it's an advanced function that very few people actually use. Well, and it is possible to do it, so it's not that you can't do it, it's just not... what he asks is, how is the priority of sort conditions if I sort via multiple fields taken into account?
When I configure things in Drupal views, I always use this every time. So
yeah, you can still use it here. It's not a difficult. I mean, the thing is, if I do it like this, I have sorted first by population, descending, and then for the same population, I have sent it in ascending order. Since few things have the same.
But then display order and sorting order are kind of bound together, right?
No, because I don't display population, for example. Let me see. I will show you. I have, specifically for this use case, I have created, let's get rid of this thing. Okay. Specifically for this use case, I have created the property test number, which is not so interesting in DSV format.
I see.
But you see how it works, right? And you can always, of course, have the two independent, they are just collapsed to this if you want. I think it's a rare requirement that you have both displayed the sorting conditions and ordered the sorting conditions, and the display has to be different from the ordering.
No, I think you should support it.
It is supported. I mean,
and
it looks at basically what you get. So we sort here by test number descending, and within each same test number, it is sorted in an ascending way. Yeah. But basically, even if I wouldn't care about this trick here with having one thing twice, I would still be able to have the same table just with test number first and population second. So it's not I think casual users won't care, and power users can easily do it. So the very motivation for this was to have an interface, or to make the interface more usable for people who are not writing the wiki syntax, because usually if you're an expert, the quickest way to do a query is just to write it in wiki syntax, because you know all the features.
Just think that people will actually be starting to compare this with Drupal views, and they will see that Drupal views is kind of, it's totally flexible, and that might be...
I mean, as I said, we are very happy about contributions here, and if you have concrete ideas, I mean, that's more than welcome. But I don't think we have been compared to Drupal views yet, so I think, so far no user has voiced this concern, but I think it's a good thing to look at if there is something which does a similar job in a different way. One part of the project which is not demoable and visible really was also to try to make the architecture more flexible, and so as to support various types of search interfaces. We don't want to have to say this is the one search interface everybody has to use in the future. We would rather like to have many of them and let people have plug-in like search interfaces which still connect to the main part of Semantic MediaWiki without any hassles. Okay, so that's the current situation anyway. And yeah, the other part has to be improved. Okay. Let me go back. I think I don't want to take any more. So we started 15 minutes late, but still it's almost over. And so we should probably get done. Testing, yes, testing. Well, Selenium testing, kind of unclear, we don't know. We have some things in place, but now it's unclear whether the architecture we rely on will actually remain in MediaWiki or whether it's going to be picked out. So it's a bit of a frustrating situation, and we rather would like to wait instead of investing more work here. However, there's not just user interface testing with browser simulation via Selenium, but also standard down-to-earth unit testing type checks with PHP unit, and we don't do these a lot yet, and we should. And I think it's clear to all developers, we discussed it before, it's clear to both, that we need to do more testing. I don't know how we set that up, but this is something which has been started, and we should really get to a point where we can do a standard test suite and avoid certain unpleasant bugs in releases because we changed something which we didn't test because there are so many functions. Something else which I have on my list, which I would like to look at, is database access performance. We are writing the database far too often. Most edits do not change anything of the semantic data, yet we always delete it and rewrite it on all edits. That's not good. We should change that. And same with the reading, we should use these caches I explained about 2 days ago in Semantic MediaWiki more intensively to really make sure that we can avoid database access between several requests from the same user. I think this will make the overall appearance of the data, the application more dynamic to users. It will be faster. It will not just solve major performance problems. It will also be more responsive if you do these things, and it will help the service to have less work. Drop MediaWiki 115 support to do. Yeah, soon, please. We will get rid of this. Anybody still using MediaWiki 115, please switch. It's ancient. It's insecure, and there are so many improvements in the newer features. 116 has been out for ages, and is getting very old as well, and we will also want to drop this support. That's even a more pleasant task, because there are a few special cases in the code just to keep the support for this piece of code up. And we want to get rid of all that. At least before the next European Semantic MediaWiki-Con, we will have no more MediaWiki 116. So when you come home, consider what you have running and maybe upgrade to 117 right away.
Yeah, a big deal about being able to use 1.17 is that a lot of JavaScript libraries were introduced in 1.17. Markus already mentioned jQuery, but it's not just limited to jQuery, it also has all the jQuery UI modules, which 1.16 does not have. And it has a bunch of MediaWiki-specific libraries, like to do interaction with the API, to work with titles, and all these kinds of things. So it will really make building nice UIs a lot more easy.
In that sense, it's pity that SMW Plus did not move fast enough, but it's still really...
Well,
but it will be the next one.
It will catch up, I'm sure. Yes, it's things like in JavaScript internationalization is, for example, a very nice feature which MediaWiki 117 has, and which we currently emulate. So you can use it already, but we don't want to do this work in all future. Okay, and here's one more thing, which is not dropping things, but adding things. More Ajax-based result formatting. We talked about that already a bit. Just quickly, do you want to say it, or should I can just say it, we are already running out of time. Idea is to have more dynamic ask results, meaning that you have an Ajax call, which, for example, is able to show more results as you are watching a page. Table ends, you say, show me the next batch of results, or show me the next batch of things on the map, or whatever. So this is all possible with the new API support, which it could be based on. Because with the API you already have built-in Ajax support in MediaWiki, and you can dynamically query things and get more results with other parameters. So that would be very nice. And what we would really like to do ideally is to have a JavaScript library on top of that, which packages this basic functionality of querying and getting results for display, which people can then use to write JavaScript-based result formats. So that you have a JavaScript library and you can make your own JavaScript implementation for formatting all these nice data items without having to worry about too many SMW things, and certainly not about PHP. So that's the hope for the future. It's to do. Nobody started it yet. If you are interested, support is very welcome. Okay, your plans. What are you up to? That's basically my last slide here. This was all that we had on our minds, or have done, or are about to do, but I'm sure there's more that some people would really like to say now, or forever holds their peace, as it said, until next year.
One thing which Patrick Nagel here did an extra extension for it, this number formatting. So it's a very peculiar thing, but if I enter, let's say, 10.66, then I get in the result 10.66, but if I enter 10.00, I just get 10. Things like that. It's just this very
That's meant as a feature, actually.
Yes, that's a feature. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
yes.
one thing which is, let's say...
You would like to have scientific number formatting even for simple things.
That would
so
be nice.
the reason why it's a feature is also that we don't distinguish between decimal and integer numbers and floating points. So if somebody has a population of 1,000, they don't want it to appear as 1000.00. And that's why we cut off non-used digits by default. Because we don't want to have extra data types for every possible amount of digits. But we could have a formatting parameter that allows you to say how many digits you want to be displayed. Actually, this is a project that somebody with a bit of PHP insight could take up. It's a very local code that would have to be modified for that. And if somebody wants to look into it, we can be of assistance, I think. You don't have to read all the architecture of Semantic MediaWiki to solve this problem. So that's cool. The query management was a long-standing wish we still haven't addressed really. Maybe this is something it's on my wish list. Maybe someone wants to look into that. And yeah, if there are no other proposals, I think we just take it to the coffee break. Thank you. And let's see. Random cat of the day.